Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here, MD, pro physique athlete. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my full 4-day full body program. As you know, I'm currently prepping for WNBF World Championships in National Men's Physique. I executed a contest prep earlier in this year and won my pro card in May. Since May, I've been running a lean bulk in order to rebuild muscle and strength. And today's video reflects the program that I've been following during that lean bulk. The program is set with moderate volumes and is designed for one specific athlete in the world, and that's me. So I'll emphasize that this program was not meant to be put out just for you to follow cookie cutter. I'm laying this out for you to understand my reasoning in programming so that you can apply it to your own situation. As you know, I'm currently an advanced trainee, having trained since 2012, and this program was designed with a back and calf specialization in mind, because these are the muscle groups that I'm trying to bring up. We'll start off with a program walkthrough where I share everything you need to know if you wanted to run this program yourself, including exercises, sets, and reps. Then we'll talk about the weekly setup, or how I lay out the days throughout the week to suit my schedule. Finally, we'll talk about the pros and cons of my program in particular, and there's gonna be some very specific points here, so you'll definitely wanna pay attention to that. All right, let's do our program walkthrough. So this is Dr. Swole's personal 4-day full body program. It's set with moderate volumes, and this was the program I was following in summer 2022. We've got day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. We've got exercises, and here are your sets and reps. Down here I have the total number of sets for each workout, so you can get an idea of workout length. And down here I have my total number of weekly sets for each muscle group. You'll see that this is predominantly a moderate volume program, but we have high volumes for the back and calves, and this program is designed to specialize back and calves. Let's start off with day 1. We kick it off with the Meadows row for the back, 5 sets of 6 to 10. These are a really cool single arm row variation that uses the barbell in the landmine attachment. Next, we have squats for the quads, and we have 3 sets here, and I'm using a top set back off method here. I really like the top set back off method. It's a good way to get in that specificity for strength while still adding volume. So this is my notation here. You've got one top set of 5 to 8, and then I would drop about 10% off the bar and do 2 more back off sets of 5 to 8 reps. Following the squat, we have lying leg curl for the hamstrings, 3 sets of 12 to 20. After that, I would do machine bench press for the chest, 3 sets of 8 to 15. After that, we have cable curls for the biceps, 2 sets of 8 to 15. I've tried to lay out this program as accurately as possible for you guys, just to be transparent, but I have changed 1 or 2 things just to make it a little bit more friendly for you guys. I was going through biceps tendinosis during this period, so I was actually training with very high reps and using blood flow restriction training. So I have changed the rep ranges for biceps just to make it more gen pop friendly. After that, we have JM presses, which are a cool triceps and chest builder, 3 sets of 8 to 12. I would bring the bar down to about the level of my chin for these. Basically an in-between between close grip bench press and skull crushers. After that, we have side lying lateral raises for the side delts, 4 sets of 10 to 20. I like to set the bench at about 60 degrees, and this helps you get a little bit more of a stretch at the bottom. And this allows you to load the bottom range of the motion where you get more of a stretch. Finally, we have seated calf raises for the calves, and you'll see that I'm using myo reps here. Here's my notation. I'll start off with 1 heavy main set of 8 to 20 reps. After that, I'll continue and do 7 rest pause sets. In between these sets, I'll count down from 10, so I'll basically take around 10 seconds in between, and I'll do between 3 to 5 reps. Myo reps are a powerful way to get that metabolic stress training, and they can save a lot of time. I don't think there's an exact way to translate into a straight set count, but I'm approximating these 8 sets by 5 straight sets. Next, we have day 2, and we start off with the wide grip neutral pull down for the back, 5 sets of 10 to 20. Then we have deadlifts, and if you've been following me for a while, you'll see that I typically like to deadlift sumo. But for this block, I was actually switching over to conventional. This was to give me a bit more of a back emphasis. As you know, I'm trying to bring up my back for Worlds. So I would start off with 1 top set of 5 to 8, drop 10% off the bar, and then do 1 back off set of 5 to 8 reps. So note here that top set back off methods don't need to have a lot of back off sets. Sometimes you might only have 1. Then we have leg extensions for the quads, 4 sets of 10 to 15, and you'll see that I've paired my heaviest quad and glute and hamstring movements, squat and deadlift, with my easiest movements, lying leg curls and leg extensions. This is to even out the fatigue across the days, so I don't just have a really tough day. Next, we have machine overhead press, 3 sets of 8 to 15. Following that, I have machine flies for the chest, 3 sets of 12 to 20. Then we have machine preacher curls for the biceps, 3 sets of 12 to 20. Upright rows for the side delts, 4 sets of 8 to 12. And finally, machine calf raises. Again, I'm using a myo rep scheme here. 1 activation set of 8 to 12, followed by 7 rest pause sets of 3 to 5 reps. Moving on to day 3, we start off with the chest supported row for the back, 4 sets of 10 to 15. Note here that a really important feature of this program is that I start every workout with my back movement. And this is because I'm trying to specialize my back hypertrophy. Typically, your first movement of the day will get the best training just because you're able to focus most on it. I didn't follow this religiously, but this is how I designed it. Next, we have barbell hip thrusts for the glutes and hamstrings, and I did 2 top sets of 6 to 10. Following that, we have Smith machine squats. I count these for quads, 4 sets of 8 to 15 reps. After that, we have incline machine bench presses for the chest, 3 sets of 6 to 12. And I counted these as my main chest movement of the program. Following that, cable reverse curls for the biceps, 2 sets of 20 to 30. Then we have cable overhead extensions for the triceps, 3 sets of 10 to 20. And you can superset these cable movements with a cable lateral raise, 4 sets of 10 to 20. Finally, I have leg press calf raises for the calves, again using my reps, so 1 activation set of 8 to 20 reps, followed by 7 rest pause sets. Lastly, we have day 4, and we start up with dumbbell pullovers for the back, 5 sets of 8 to 15, and I find you can get a really good stretch in the lats on these. I like doing these holding 2 dumbbells together just because I find they're easy to maneuver that way. Next, we have Romanian deadlifts for the glutes and hamstrings, 2 sets, and we have 1 top set of 6 to 10, followed by a back off set of 6 to 10 with about 10% off the bar. After RDLs, I have single leg Smith machine squats. I count these for the quads and glutes and hamstrings, 4 sets of 10 to 15. These are basically like a single leg lunge in the Smith machine, and they are a nice lower fatigue option where you have the Smith machine giving you stabilization. After that, we have neutral close grip bench press for the triceps and chest, 3 sets of 8 to 15. You can superset this dumbbell movement with lying bicep curls, where you lie flat on the bench, 3 sets of 8 to 12. After that, we have cable upright rows for the side delts, 3 sets of 12 to 20. And finally, machine calf raises for the calves, again using my reps, a top set of 12 to 20, followed by 7 rest pause sets. Now, I want to point out here that we have a lot of machine work in this program, and there's going to be more machine work here than in my usual programming. This is because I'm an advanced athlete dealing with a lot of fatigue right now in my contest prep year. So fatigue is a big issue for me, especially when you're lower body fat. So you'll see that I've used a lot of lower fatigue options that I might not recommend to a beginner, or that I might not even use myself as much in the off season. Question of the day, what program do you guys want to see me cover next? Let me know in the comments below. Now, if you're following one of my programs and you want some exercise substitutions, follow me on Instagram. My handle is @Dr. Swole, that's Dr_Swole. DM me the words exercise selection and I'll send you a chapter from my book that gives you my exercise substitution list. This will allow you to make your own exercise swaps. One other thing I want to point out in this program is my exercise rep ranges are a lot more varied, and these are a bit more exotic than what I usually show in my standard programming. Remember that rep ranges are very individual for the person and even for each exercise, so this is something you'll have to figure out for yourself. All right, now that you've seen the program, let's talk about the weekly setup, or how to spread out your days across the week. Here's my preferred layout. Since all my days are full body anyways, I'll just count these by number. So I've got day 1 on Tuesday, rest, day 2, rest, day 3, day 4, and rest. Let's talk about my reasoning here. First of all, with a full body split, spreading your days is really easy. You basically just want to spread them out as evenly as possible for good fatigue distribution. Fatigue distribution is how you spread out your training stress across the week, and I like this to be as even as possible, particularly for me right now since I'm in contest prep. When you're in a high stress time, whether this is through dieting or just stress in your life, your body will have less recovery resources to go around, and thus fatigue becomes a bigger issue. Now, note that fatigue isn't so much of a big deal at lower levels of experience, but as you become advanced, it will be a problem. Note that I particularly set up this program to be laid out exactly like this. Day 1 and day 2 are going to be overall more taxing days compared to day 3 and day 4. And you'll see this reflected by the fact that I have my squat and deadlift on these 2 days. On day 3 and day 4, I place relatively lower fatigue exercises. You'll also notice that day 3 and day 4 are slightly shorter and contain fewer sets, and this is to accommodate the fact that they are back to back. Okay, now let's talk about pros and cons of my program in particular. And note here that I'm talking about specific advantages of disadvantages of this program as it's laid out, not just the full body split. So first off, with this program, we have a back and calf emphasis, which is obviously what I'm going for. In men's physique, the V taper is very important, so I'm trying to bring up my lats. Plus, there was a time when I didn't really train my calves hard, and I'm making up for it now. Now, I don't talk about specialization very much on this channel, and mainly because I think this is more of an advanced topic. But for those who are advanced and really need to specialize, or if you just have a really lacking body part, you'll see that I've set up this program in order to specialize back and calves, first of all by placing the back first in my training. This way I can give my back training my full effort. You might ask why I didn't put calves higher up in the workout, like putting them second right after back training. And that's just because I find that I can still give calves a really good effort even late in the workout. Plus there's also something about putting them last where I feel like I can go all out and leave it all in the gym. Now the other way you prioritize a muscle is by increasing frequency and volume. Remember that there's an optimal amount of volume that you'll need per week for each muscle group. Ideally, you want to be hitting that optimal volume for every muscle group. But as an advanced athlete, you may not have the recovery resources to do all of that. So you might only be able to prioritize a few muscle groups at a time. In my case though, I do realize that my back and calves just need a lot of volume to optimize growth. Next pro of this program is that the full body split gives me maximum customizability. Note here that I'm using a modified full body split. That is, I don't necessarily train every single muscle group directly on every single day. This is a big advantage of the full body split, and particularly when you make modifications to it. You can basically exactly control the frequency you want to be for every muscle group. It's also very easy to manipulate your training volumes for every muscle group, and you can do this simply by increasing the sets for each day. Next, with this full body split, I have excellent fatigue distribution. That is, my fatigue is spread out evenly across the week. This is very important for me this year since I'm running my body fat pretty low, even during this bulk, so fatigue becomes a limiting factor. It particularly helps me when I spread out my leg training across more days. This way I don't have to smash a huge leg workout on one day. Final advantage of this program that I've written for myself is that you have a high frequency for all muscle groups. The advantage of this is that I can train every muscle group fresh every workout, and it can really help if I want to jack up the volumes. Okay, let's talk about disadvantages of the program that I've written. And yes, even though it's my program, it still has flaws. The first point here is that my program has very long workouts. You'll see that I have a lot of sets in every session. Plus, since you're training full body, you have a lot of exercises. These workouts do take a long time for me. I'm typically in the gym for up to 2 hours. And I think for ideal fatigue distribution, I would actually spread out my training over more days, like 5 or maybe 6 days per week. That being said, I find that having days completely off is really helpful for my schedule. As you know, I have an irregular schedule as a doctor. I'll sometimes have to work 24-hour shifts, and that really gets in the way of gym training. Next disadvantage of this program comes with a full body split, and that is you get less of a pump. This is just because you're doing fewer sets for each muscle group in any given training session. Now, for someone who's more advanced, I personally don't find an issue getting a pump even if I'm only doing a few sets. But some people really enjoy the bigger pumps they get when they do more sets in a session. Now, one more issue with my full body program is that it requires careful auto-regulation. This is one of the issues you run into when you train with high frequencies. And that is, you need to be able to change your program on the fly depending on how you're feeling. If I go into a day and I'm still really sore from the last session, I will often drop the weight or reps. Understanding how to auto-regulate your training is an advanced skill in bodybuilding, but it's one that you really want to work towards. If you have trouble controlling your repetitions in reserve, training high frequency full body may not be for you. Now I will be sharing this full program as laid out in an Excel file in my Facebook group. So if you haven't already joined the group, find the link in the description below, join the group, and you can download the program for free. If you want to see the program I was following deep into prep earlier in the spring, check out this video where I lay out the program completely and explain the pros and cons. That program is designed specifically to deal with higher levels of fatigue from extreme dieting. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.